There's a separate little thing they turn.
Well, that's good.
Is yours on? I'm on, are you?
Yeah. We up and running? Welcome, everyone. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Remain standing for an invocation. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, as we gather this evening, this council thanks you for the privilege that we have of serving this town. We ask for strength, courage, and wisdom. We also ask that you comfort the Elliott family in Morgan County. Mrs. Elliott served the county very well, and we appreciate that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Last people on earth.
Call to order the July 5th meeting of the Mooresville Town Council. Gentlemen have had a chance to read the minutes of our previous meeting. I need a motion to either approve or amend the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin Shane, 5-0. Under unfinished business, we have ordinance 7, and this is by ordinance transfer or appropriating unobligated monies from the rainy day fund for the K-9 police program. This is a public hearing for this ordinance. This does allow our police chief or designated person to spend this money for one use only, the K-9. This money is not going into a non-reverting fund. We attempted that with the comprehensive plan money and found out that that wasn't the way to go. So it would, if it's not spent by the end of this year, would revert back into the general fund and could be reappropriated at that time. Are there any public comments in regards to this ordinance? I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Gentlemen, we have two options. Since this was since this is the first reading, we can do absolutely nothing and approve it at our next meeting, or we can suspend our rules and approve this at first reading. The only qualification is it has to be approved by a unanimous vote.
So unanimous vote to consider it on first reading and then 2/3 to pass. So 4 out of 5.
Comments?
I'd make a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance 7-22.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin, or Shane Gregg, 5-0. Now I need a motion to pass ordinance 7.
I'll make that motion to pass ordinance 7-22, funding the K-9 program.
Pass on first reading. Making a note, sorry. Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Shane Jeff, 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the COVID time off policy. I think as a council, we wanted to make sure that our employees knew that we valued them, we respected them, and we wanted them to be safe and healthy. In the beginning of this pandemic, we basically said if you're sick, if someone in your household is sick, take off. We don't want you here getting other people sick. The CDC has looked and gone in different directions. Whether we flatten the curve is yet to be determined, but we are starting to see times when we think that we need to reevaluate that. Our clerk treasurer's office has been inundated at times. The plan or the new sick leave policy is plagiarized from other surrounding areas. We took the most lenient of all of them, and basically what it says is each employee would have 40 hours of paid sick leave for this, and at the end of that sick leave, then the department head would have to request more sick leave and be able to determine it. It also, instead of just saying, hey, I think I might, it says you can take off and you can think that you might, but if you don't have a positive test, then you didn't. So now we're going to use your sick time or vacation time. I think that it's time.
Is this test any test, like a home test, or is this a test from the doctor, or?
Well, if you look at the, it says just the isolation order or positive test results. The federal government sent out the home test, so we all trust our federal government. I mean, for God's sakes, they've never done anything wrong that we know of. So I would assume that home tests would be an acceptable.
Was our last policy didn't cover home tests?
Our last policy, basically all it said was if you think you may have it, stay home, please.
I got a call from an employee who they have some infants and they can't be tested at the doctor, but they can take a home test. So
I would say that we want, if someone calls their department head and says, hey, I think I'm sick, and they can produce a positive test, whether it's a doctor or a minute clinic or a home test, we don't want them here. So I would.
While they're sick.
While they're sick. Yeah, we don't want them here ever. No, we don't want them here while they're sick. So.
I understand.
And I think that they've even dropped the guidelines on the quarantine times.
Okay.
Significantly.
Just real quick, I did have one of my staff members test positive a few weeks ago, and actually I gave him the 5 days off of quarantining. When I checked into the hospital, they are not testing if they've tested with a home test.
So they trust it.
They trust it. That's kind of where I'm at. I just kind of said to my employee, shoot me a snapshot picture of your positive test, and we went with that. For me as being the department head, that way I can show eyes, say, yes, he did show me a positive test, that he was there to positive. So I know the hospital is not testing as long as they are doing the home testing.
Okay.
It doesn't specify, it just says a positive COVID test. Do you want it to specify?
No, I do not. I would just had that question, so.
I had a question. We do have, without divulging who and what department, but we have some that are out currently. Does this cover those people? If we pass this, does it cover the people who are currently out?
Well, I think you already have a policy that would cover those individuals.
From the prior?
Right, so this would replace what the current policy is. So this is a more stringent policy than what you have in place right now.
Okay, so they would fall, just for clarity, they would fall under the previous policy.
Correct, because that happened before, but regardless, if they've got a situation in which there is COVID-19 in the household and they can't, then they're going to be covered either way.
I just don't want someone getting in trouble for following the wrong policy.
Do we want to think about this? Do we want to move forward with it?
I'm good with it as written.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys had comments on it or not.
Oh. Jane?
I agree with Jeff.
Okay.
All I heard was first and second, and then
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Jeff Shane, 5-0. Cybersecurity training. I don't know if you saw this, that that Diane had put into the packet. The question is, do we want her to move forward with contacting this company? This was something that was brought up before with our past IT company. What they could do is they could go in and what they're going to do is they're going to send emails out, random emails to anyone that has the email mooresville.in.gov and see how many people take the bait, and then go back and train from that. You didn't really need to see how long you were going to live, or you can't buy a condo in Hawaii for $12. They're going to come back and say, okay, this is where we're having trouble, and then we're going to train the employees a little bit better. This day and age, no matter what IT guy you talk to, he's going to tell you if the people that do these phishing scams and hacking would come to work for them, they could pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because they're that good at it. This was something that I think Diana was a little bit nervous about trying to take on herself as far as without council permission, because they are going to come in and test the people that have the emails. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a sad day that we have to use this kind of stuff, but that's what today's society is. I know that they're also, I think Diane and some of her staff are planning on attending a seminar that's put on with IoT and Morgan County at the beginning of next month. It is, I believe, for cybersecurity. We're just, every day is a new day to train. So, with council's permission, I think Diana would like to move forward with this no before.
This is actually the state of Indiana, correct?
Yes.
And it's at no cost. It says they have licenses that are not in use that they would like to grant to us to use. So I agree with you. I think
Right,
it makes
I
a
think
lot of
the no
sense.
before is not the state of Indiana. That is the entity that the state of Indiana is using and contracted with.
Okay.
And they have licenses left with that entity, and that program. But it's still going to be, at least the way that it's presented, no cost to the town.
Do they kind of control the in.gov site, like email addresses,
No,
company?
like,
Well, they've got an in.gov address.
well, Taylor Hollenbeck is a director of intergovernmental affairs for the Office of Technology.
Okay.
So this email is from the state of Indiana.
Right.
But the state of Indiana, the IoT has an agreement with this other entity.
I see.
That they
Okay.
have license with.
It's a state
Correct.
contractor, basically.
Correct.
Okay, all right, sorry. Thanks for the
If you
clarification.
have the in.gov, you are, what it says basically, you're offered this.
Comments?
Do you,
Motion?
I'd make a motion to, you want to allow Diana Walmsley to, okay, I'll make a motion to allow Diana Walmsley to contact IoT and move forward with the training.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dane Dustin, 5-0. Town-issued cell phones, iPads, email addresses. I don't know anything about this.
I added this to the agenda just because of all of the public access requests that have been coming in. I think the attorney is going to speak on this later on under legal, unless you want to speak on this now. But just thought, I think early on in my first year of my term, we talked about maybe issuing iPads or other devices to council members and town employees for the purpose of storing the public record, whether it's email, voicemail, or I guess text messaging. I think with the amount of public access requests that have come in, I think we ought to be able to make it easier for town employees to turn over that data and store that data. And right now, most of them, I think, are using personal devices. I know I do. And I'm not sure that's the best practice. I don't know if you have anything more to add to that, Jewel. I just wanted to start a discussion about whether we think we should look at it.
So what I'll say is this: the public access counselor and I have a different view as to what the statute says on that specific issue of personal devices, because the statute clearly indicates, and the way I look at it is, if you have information that is stored on a device that is under the control of the municipality doesn't control those servers for Verizon or T-Mobile or whatever, but the public access counselor has come down on the position that your personal cell phone, if they have public information, so if you're dealing with Mooresville information on your personal cell phone, those documents are subject to open door laws and need to be disclosed. There's a 7-year time period as to when public documents have to be stored. So then you would have to store on your phone for 7 years all the text messages and things that go through that way. It's a long time. Now, if you issue cell phones, the issue that you're going to have is that's only going to be as good as the people actually listening to the information. You can issue cell phones. You can tell people to use those cell phones for the purposes of town business, but if they choose not to use those cell phones and they still use their personal, there's nothing we can do about that. But those, until somebody's willing to spend 6 figures fighting the public access counselor on that opinion, that's going to be the law of the land, is that those documents still have to be disclosed. So the biggest issues that we have, generally speaking, are going to be text messages. Emails, even emails that are off your personal phone on your Mooresville email address are going to go to the server and going to be kept by the server, and therefore those are accessible. It's going to be the text messages that are the biggest concerns.
When we get those, who, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, you started.
When we get those requests, who reviews that? Do you or?
Well, so it comes in, and then depending upon the request, we either reject it outright if there's a reason to reject it that under the public access counselor. If it's not, and we have to supply that information, then we ask for all that information to be gathered up, and then we will have to review it technically to make sure that we aren't disclosing privileged information or things of that nature that should not be in the public domain, but that it's responsive to the request that's being made as well.
But I mean, you would do the reviews?
Well, yeah, especially on these. I mean, we spend a lot of time.
I just wouldn't hand it over to somebody, just.
No, we're spending a lot of time on the public records request right now.
And so is our IT provider, but you can talk about that later. Is there, my concern is storage of data. So are there, even if you issue a cell phone, let's say, I don't know, just from a regular carrier, how do you store all of that data and where?
It is on so let's just say Verizon, it's on Verizon server. So as a former prosecutor, I was able to go back and get text messages that were, quote, deleted off of the server because it's kept on the server. I mean, there's a digital footprint of it.
But did you have to have a subpoena to do that, or, I mean, how?
I had to do that with a subpoena because it was a prosecutorial issue, but
Right.
we would be the owner of of the information. Like, those are our phones, so Obviously, the people that I was trying to get the information on didn't want to sign a
Right.
waiver, allow me to see those things.
Right.
So it was a little bit
So
different.
the town doesn't have to store all of this separately. It can be stored through Verizon or whoever it is.
In most cases, you get that stuff set up through them and you ask for, but the best thing to be doing would be to utilize email, because that is on the server. I know the text messaging is simpler now, but
Deb, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, do you guys use your personal devices for, like with banking or anything like that?
There's a lot of banking and websites that are pushing two-factor authentication now.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So anytime I send an ACH, the bank has to send me a code to my phone. Linda gets a code to her phone for like the sewer ACH, the auto debits that she usually sends that file. So I have payroll, we have some bond payments we pay through ACH. So I do several, and she does the sewer one. So yeah, I mean, there's some times that we have, because you have to put, the bank has to have that as part of your ACH setup. They have to have the device that they're going to send that code to. So the bank actually has my cell phone number, Linda's cell phone number, so that
Right.
that ACH through, you tell it which device to send it to. So, I mean, yeah, there are times when we have to use ours.
One thing I worry about is like a police officer taking pictures at a scene or something like that for an investigation, because it's handy with their phone. I don't know if that occurs, but those kinds of things are what
those are
I-
usually kept separate. So there are exclusions to public access laws regarding investigatory information, and so you can keep those out. When an officer takes those pictures, I mean, I would think that the process would be, if you're using that as that, you then go in, you get the hard copy printed out, put it into the file, and then you save a copy of that someplace so that you have that moving forward as part of the criminal file,
Right.
as opposed to just relying upon your phone. I will say, most of the communities that I work with do have municipally provided phones. It will be more difficult for the clerk treasurer's office because of those phones. I mean, there's a plan that goes along with it. There's a benefit to that, so I think it goes towards their taxable benefits, that they have to be charged an amount for those. It's like if they had a take-home vehicle that they're allowed to use, there's a taxable amount that goes to the employee based off the phone.
The clerk's office or everywhere?
Well, it's going to be a nightmare for them because they're going to have to track it and put it into the system.
Oh, for each employee?
IRS had kind of backed off on the cell phone.
And they may have on the cell phone. I don't know. I just know that you had to in the past and that it was a nightmare. San Francisco got
That's what we've
nailed.
been told in some of our training, that they've kind of backed off some of that because it's just so hard to tell somebody you can use this phone for this and this phone for that. And so I don't.
I can look into that as well.
Something that we want to discuss during budget times. We need to check with Verizon and see if we can all get flip phones.
They got flip phones.
They do have flip phones now that are more expensive than these things.
Yeah.
Joel, one more question. Do you typically see town policies that go along with this sort of thing, like on data store that are clear and?
Yeah, of
On
the
the-
usage, what you're allowed to use the devices for.
Yeah. So I'm assuming we don't have those because we don't issue phones.
Yeah, I don't think you have any of those policies, but
Do other communities restrict text messaging because it is difficult, or have you seen that? I'm just curious.
I haven't seen anybody, none of the communities that I worked with have restricted text messaging
Okay.
on it. It is an effective way of communication, especially quickly, so
Right.
as long as we're able to track that and get that information, that's what's important.
On the radar. Any more comments on that? Going to the next item, which is the 1 and 3 East Main bid opening. This is from Restoration Impact, LLC. The quote as presented is $100,000. This is for the proposal list, everything that we had put in the advertisement, but obviously we're going to take these under consideration.
Said 100,000?
What was the name again? Restoration?
Restoration Impact LLC. Now, we're opening 2 bids. We have another one here that has come in, and it is not marked on the outside for which project. So we're going to open it, and if it is for our second project, we'll come back to it.
Like it's the second project.
I don't think it's free. I don't think it's a bid. It is a
This
building
is-
permit request.
Yes. So.
So, it looks like we have one bid for the demolition of 1 and 3 East Main Street. I need a motion to take that under advisement, let Dave look at it, let legal counsel look at it, and see if we want to move forward as the least expensive, most responsive. Is that correct?
So moved.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I wasted half of my page taking that note.
Yeah, you won't be needing that.
Yeah, thanks.
Next project is our sewer lining opening. Guess I need to put $100,000 here.
Reusable. Gotta do it again.
Page, I can't see this. Yeah, if you would. You see a company name? Oh, I'm sorry. The first one that we found the numbers on is Inliner Solutions. And their total bid is $356,850. Thank you. The next one is Insight, N-S-I-G-H-T, Pipe Contracting. And their bid is $429,450. Next, the final bid is In Situ Form, INSITU-FORM.
Say that again, Tom?
In Situ Form, INSITU-FORM. And their total bid is $360,410. Guys, this is for the steam in place service that we've done in the past. It is the actual quote went out, or the request for bid went out at 5,150 feet, so almost a mile. This is a project that we're doing both for our own, not treating inflow and infiltration, and also an agreed order, still operating on the 2014 agreed order on inflow and infiltration with IDAM. Looks like they're all fairly within each other's wheelhouse. I need a motion to table and allow Dave to review.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dustin, Jeff, 5-0. What do you want to do on 15?
I can speak about 15 real quickly. I mean, I looked into that. The, actually had approved 15 as written to go on the agenda. I don't think it was printed out or copied on the agenda. This is the approval of firearm for recognition of time served for an officer. I mean, the item itself was approved by legal to say it was in good form. There was just a mix-up between getting it into your packets. So it's up to the council as to whether or not you want to take action on that right now, or we can just bring it back with the document itself at the next meeting and just have you take action at that time.
There isn't any dire need to do it tonight, is there?
Not to my knowledge.
So would it just be a motion to table to bring it back?
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to table Resolution 1522 to next meeting.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
And Greg, 5-0 to table.
Resolution 16 is amendment to a resolution that you took action on earlier, which was number 13. There was an error in one of the model numbers. Item number 6 on that one, on resolution number 13, 2022. Model number 6 is a Glock 22 XNS 500. So this is fixing the what was listed in resolution 13, 2022. It was listed as XNS 500, not 599. And so this is declaring that it is 599. That is the one that is the proper serial number for the item to be surplused.
Comments or questions of legal counsel?
Can you explain what happened here? What caused this? Do you know what caused this?
I don't know what I know that I believe that this sidearm is the one that was thought to be missing.
Yes, that's correct.
That we've gone through. My guess is somebody looked at it and thought they saw 5 zeros. I mean, I can't say why that number is wrong, but this weapon, the Glock 21 XNS 599, was the one that was thought to be lost during the year.
Yeah, and the one that we approved was from the inventory, but was evidently, according to the chief, was never a gun that we owned. It was not a purchased gun. It was a error. And you're correct in saying that this XNS 500 was written in the inventory when it should have been XNS 599, but the XNS 599 was the missing weapon. So we're correcting this.
Correct. This is a amendment to 13 to properly surplus the XNS 599.
Motions or comments?
Motion to approve resolution 16-2022.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Dustin, Jeff, 5-0. Department head reports, not everybody at once. One at a time. Everybody wants to talk.
I'll go first. So I've had a lot of questions and comments concerning our paving project this year. The contractor, they are behind. They cannot get concrete. I call them every day and I scream at the contractor. They call the concrete company and scream at them. It's, with I-69 and all the major shipping warehouses going in, driver shortages, cannot get the concrete powder. It's just
Perfect storm.
Culmination of errors that it's got them behind. But they are chipping away, doing everything they can as material becomes available. Their next pour is scheduled for the 16th. They can get 3 trucks on the 16th, and that's all they could promise me. Do you have any questions concerning that? I did have an employee resigned the other day, and I'll be looking to fill that position within the next few months. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dave.
The comment that he made on the concrete, the call that I received was, the contractor told me this, it didn't get done. Why didn't it get done? And when I spoke to Dave just this evening, it was his call. It was his call. He said that that road had sat long enough, milled, and he wanted pavement on it. And Dave, it was a dang good decision. I appreciate you taking the initiative. I appreciate you doing that. For one person calling and complaining about the curbs, the fact that you said, I want the rest of it done, good job. That's the compliment for today.
Nobody else gets one.
Now you can let me have it for the liner prices?
That's coming out of your budget, right?
I put the run stats for June's in front of you guys. Because of the holidays and stuff like that, it was kind of hard to get those in to you guys last week for your budget, or for your packets. If you guys have any questions on that, you can feel free to ask or anything like that. I just want to take a moment, as I shot out an email a few weeks ago to the department, or to you guys' council. I want to take time and thank Dustin Stanley for leading a cause that he saw greatly needed, and you guys as council allowing him to move forward with that and put a safe haven baby box in our fire station. We did have one surrender a few weeks ago, and that baby is doing well and alive, and she will have a good history, or a good life to her when she gets into the foster care of a parent. So other than that, I have nothing further unless you have any questions for me. Oh, I'm sorry. The fireworks, they went off without a hitch last night. There was no incident, no major thing. I'm sure Chris will probably talk a little bit more on that, but other than that, there was no incidents that was major last night.
You should add babies saved to your stat report. Keep her.
You gotta color code them, though.
Good evening. I don't have a lot to report, just to follow up on the fireworks yesterday. It went over, like he said, really well. All departments played a part in it in some portions, so we appreciate that. A large town event can't go on without everybody's help, so we appreciate everyone's help, including cleanup today and tomorrow and a few more days, but we're getting there. As of about 2 p.m. today, the covered bridge has completely been rebuilt and opened back up, so they're a couple of weeks ahead of schedule. We have one other thing that we will do that will close for a couple of hours here in another week or so, but came in underneath the insurance amount, so we appreciate Sunco being speedy, because we were on a pretty tight deadline, and I know supply was not easy to get that either, so it is open for everybody to come enjoy. Any questions?
Is the toll booth the part that they got to put in?
We actually talked about putting a QR code that could go to donations, but that's a work in progress, so.
And for our department heads? Legal.
Couple items for consideration of the council. The first is I need guidance from the council as to how to proceed regarding a slight irregularity that was turned up and whether or not the council would allow for me to reach out to the appropriate state agency to follow up on checking in on that issue.
Motion to approve.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Jeff, Shane, 5-0.
The second issue is an update on the recent public access requests. Councilman Williams wanted me to provide some information. We are still ongoing with these. There are a large number of requests, and the information that is being turned up for them is voluminous. So we have had to incorporate the Mr. Oshman with the IT vendor to come in and pull information for us. As of last report, he's got about $2,500 worth of time in going through the searches, and I don't think he's done. He has provided us with about 7,000 emails that we have to go through and take a look at. I know that we have had over $10,000 worth of time, legal time that has been assigned to this. We have written it down significantly so that we're under 6,000, but I can't write it all off. So that's kind of the update of where we are, and we're going to get through it when we get through it. I mean, it's going to take a while to put eyes on all of those emails and read them to see which comply, which should be disclosed, which do not comply, which should be non-disclosed because of any exception. So
The reason I'm going to say a couple words if you don't mind. The reason I asked you to do this is because we've had the requester of these documents has come in, made some disparaging comments towards the town, not responding to his requests, including filing 5 complaints with the public access counselor, additionally tying up the town responding to those. But last meeting, they made a disparaging remark to Beth Copeland, the attorney, asking us to fire her, which I will tell you this, I respectfully declined to fire either you or Beth over trying to respond to these requests. And I think that you have spent an enormous amount of time. I've been seeing the response Beth has drawn up, and you about have to be a linear programmer to follow it. It's full of footnotes and everything else. And you have been in contact with the public access counselor, correct?
yes.
But I think after what you just reported, anyone who says the town isn't serious about responding to public access requests is full of baloney. And I hope the person hears that. Thank you.
I have nothing.
Nothing further. Public comments. Motion for approval of payment of claims.
Make a motion, we approve claims in the amount of $1,770,349.93.
23 cents. A lot of money.
It includes a few payoffs in there.
It does. It includes $1 million worth of paying down the debt. What's that guy that, don't they have a show on one of the, that they do some type of hoo-ha when they pay off their debt?
Burn mortgages and stuff.
There you go.
We don't have mortgages, though.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin Gregg, 5-0. Council comments.
I have none.
Okay.
I just passed out one thing. The page at Baker Tilly put out a timeline for the budget process. And I was actually speaking with Chris from the Parks Superintendent or Director, and she was wondering about, since this is the first time that we'll actually be doing a public budget workshop, she was sort of wondering what kinds of things would be required, how long to speak, those kinds of things. So I had asked, as a result of that conversation, I had asked Paige to put together a sample template, which I'm giving to each member of the council, as well as I had one for the clerk treasurer. So Debbie, if you wouldn't mind looking at it or giving it to Diana, just for, I don't know if you want to look at it as a consensus type thing or an approval type thing. My thought was that we could send the calendar that also I think came from Baker Tilly, plus the departmental budget presentation, the template, to each department head, let them look at it, maybe after a week or so, if they have any suggestions or questions, to let us know, and otherwise sort of adopt this as their template for the public workshop. That way they have some guidance from us.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Greg?
Really happy about how the baby box works out.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
Mhm.
That was awesome. That baby will have a chance at a good life now.
Yeah.
Dustin?
Credit goes to the EMS personnel, Chief Dalton. Maybe a little skeptical in the beginning was Chief Dalton. But other communities have reached out for his policy on the baby box. So all credit to both councils, past and present, but the mother, probably the hero, and the EMS personnel. I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Ain't gonna cry?
I've cried more in the last week than I'm not sure how long.
I think we cried together a little bit.
Yes.
Dustin brought this to the council. I think I said, what the heck's a baby box?
Yeah.
It is thinking outside the box. It was funded by the public. It was donations. It was people that stood up and said, this is what we want to do. That call from Matt, or that email, and then a call, kind of put things into perspective. The bravery and the love that young mother must have had to try to make a better life for her child is amazing. Dustin, you made Mooresville a better place.
Yep, kudos.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Our next meeting will be Tuesday, July 19th. You guys want to do it here?
Sure.
What time you want to do it?
6:30 or so.
Okay.
Or so.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin, did you make that motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Dustin and Jeff?
That's a record.
5-0.
Just a flag. It is a record.
Chris.
I don't think so. I was looking for the other side. I know $1 million.